Oh, and mine's on jellyfish. Welcome back to Knives, I guess. And if you go in the bathroom and you turn off the lights and you look in the mirror and you say Knives, I guess 3 times, you don't get anything. Why would you do that? That's dumb. But do me a favor and hit that like button to the terrorists win. And we just did our second live stream on the Kizer Vanguard Critical Mini in 3V. So let's take a look at what we're holding because it'll bother you if I don't. And you know I love you. So, first things first and most importantly, the pocket clip is tip up, which is the Lord's carry. We have got the micarta here, non-reversible pocket clip. We got a flipper tab. Let's flick the bean. And right at about 3 inches of 3V steel. Okay, now that the preamble's out of the way. All right, we did our first live stream. We could not finish the edge off. We could not get the edge to finish dying, so we had to do a second installment. Now, that was a ride. My God, the edge retention on this is, oh boy, very, very good. So, before we get into the timeline of events, let's go visit the car hole, and I'll show you the pile of cardboard this thing made. It is big. So, let's go to the car hole now. All right, folks, welcome to the car hole. We're going to show you the pile of cardboard that this 3V cut up. This is insane. Alright, y'all can kind of see what we're dealing with here and just how much this thing cut. And you got to remember, every single one of these panels is cut like this. Alright, so every single one of these panels is like 30 or 40 cuts. This is absolutely insane. Way more than I thought we were going to get. But let's go back to the table. Okay, now that we're back from the car hole, do you see how much cardboard this thing diced up? All right, this is an edge retention monster, at least according to the Cardboard Slayer test. You know, this is but one humble test of many things you can do, and as far as Cardboard Slayer goes, this thing is one hell of a beast. So, let's take a look at our timeline of events, and I'll let you know what happened there. And of course, we got everything written down. The difference between science and screwing around is writing down the results. So, we started off with this thing at a 111 on the edge sharpness tester, which I'll show you that in a little bit. But we started off at a 111, which is a really good number. This thing takes one hell of an edge. So we went for an hour, and up in the front belly right here, we pulled a 315, and towards the back, we pulled a 274. So the wear on that seemed like it was going to go a little faster than it did. We went for 2 hours. We hit a 458 center belly, we hit a 399 front belly, and back towards the heel, we hit a 224. All right, so we keep going for another hour, and we had one of those anomalies where I could not find the worst spot on this. So in the center, I started cutting paper, and right where the first snag was, I'd put my finger on here and I'd mark it to let me know where to test. And that was towards the center right here. All right, so we pulled a 417 towards the front center, we pulled a 389, and towards the back center right around here, we pulled a 355. I could not find the worst spot. There may have been some tape gunk or something like that stuck to the edge that I didn't account for when I hit that 458. The tester is not the most scientifically accurate thing on the planet. All right, there's a lot of discussion about that online. It just gives you a good ballpark of where your edge is compared to other stuff. So at the 4-hour mark and that same center spot, we hit a 448. We go to the front center, we hit a 424, and back towards the heel, I found a 266. So we go for our next hour, and this is where the numbers start lining back up again with what we should be seeing. All right, towards the front center right here, we hit a 467. Right here in the center, we hit a 488, and towards the back here, we hit a 392. So that's where we dropped off at the 5-hour mark. The ergos, we'll talk about that in just a minute here. So we picked this thing back up, and at the 6-hour mark, we had the number dip again. We hit a 516 towards center belly. No, that one jumped up. 516 towards the center belly. The center tip right up here, we hit a 421, and then back here towards the heel, 265. At the 7-hour mark, the worst spot I could find out of 4 or 5 tests was a 535 over in the center here. And then up towards the center tip, there was a 476. And we got another 8 minutes, and the worst spot I could find was a 543 before we started getting this on the last few cuts. At that point, the edge is devastated. Normally, we get 600s on the edge sharpness tester before we start seeing that kind of damage. We normally see about 600 to 650, and for whatever reason, it only hit a 543. And I tested a bunch of areas, and that was just the worst spot I could find. So there was a bad spot in there, but I could not find where it was. You know, the edge sharpness tester, you're testing an area as wide as a wire is thick, so it's hard to chase down the worst area unless you get it, you know. Normally I can get it. But on this one, it wasn't happening. So we sharpened this thing, and we brought it back down to a 117. This is on a 17 degree per side edge bevel, and I do need to mention, this was on a hand-whittled edge. The factory edge was gone. It was torn up. I got this thing used, so I had to put my own 17-degree edge on it before we started Cardboard Slayer. So we skipped the part where the super steel dies in an hour and a half, and we got to sharpen it anyways. And this stuff, reprofiling the entire edge down to this thick bevel right here at 17 degrees, that took an ungodly amount of time. This stuff is hard to get steel removed from. I am sure if I had more aggressive diamond plates and I was sharpening by hand, I probably would have got it done a lot faster. But on the precision adjust with the lowest stone being a 220, that took forever. But let's get out the edge sharpness tester. We'll take a look at how the edge is doing. Nice low resistance cut. Really like seeing that. Let's wipe this edge off. And this, of course, was kindly provided by you guys through your channel memberships, your super chat donations, what have you. So thank you for that. Always grateful. Always grateful. But how are you doing today? I hope you're doing good. I appreciate you dropping by and spending your time with me. So we're going to take one sample towards the middle, and we're going to see the number we get. But, you know, it measures the number of grams of force it takes to cut through the wire on this calibrated test clip. And you can see why I say you're only testing an area as wide as that wire is thick. So let's see what we get. 110. All right, so we are in the 110 to 120 range on this. I am very, very happy to see that. This thing takes one hell of an edge. Apparently it responds well to polish, and this is polished up to 3000 grit and then stropped down to 0.1 micron. So one thing to note is the ergonomics. The ergonomics are adequate. They are good enough. It took about 2 hours on the first night and about 2 hours on the second night for the hot spots to start showing up. Now, when we pushed this for 5 hours of nonstop cutting, those hot spots started getting really bad before the end there. I think I did put on a glove and it didn't help any because the hot spots were already there and it was just rubbing the hot spots. That's why I don't normally wear gloves. And then last night, we still got the hot spots, but I didn't push for, you know, another 3 hours past the hot spots showing up, so I didn't have that problem. So for it to take 2 hours of those kind of push cuts for the hot spots to start showing up, and the cardboard that we used, it's a little bit harder to push through than what I normally use just because, you know, this is the cardboard I can get in bulk and get it home easily. You know, I can get a lot of it in one go without having to work for it. Instead of having to save empty boxes and flatten them and all that, I can just take a huge stack of this. So that's what we're using, and that extra bit of resistance on the push means the hot spots do show up, and the hot spots hurt more than when I'm doing the easy-to-cut stuff. It doesn't make a difference in how long the edge lasts, it turns out, which is weird, but it definitely provides a bit of extra resistance. So, you know, between the ergonomics, the edge retention, and the carry experience, I'm really happy with this thing. I'm not exactly sure what they cost because this thing, nobody can find one in 3V online. I tried to look at one point, and to the best of my understanding, they were discontinued, but I could be wrong. So, you know, I'm happy I traded for this. I'm happy I got to test this out for y'all. And as far as the hierarchy of steels, you know, 3CR13 will do 45 minutes to an hour. 9CR18 and OS8 will do 3 hours. 8CR13 will do 2.5. D2 will do 4 hours. LMAX will do 5 hours, 5.5 hours. S90V will do 5 hours. This will do 7 hours. MagnaCut did 9 hours, and these are all on directly comparable edges. And then, of course, we got that outlier with the Ozark Trail Dropout doing 9 hours on a brand new edge. Or 8 hours on a brand new edge. So, yeah, this is second place to MagnaCut in my testing so far. This is second place to MagnaCut. I am thoroughly impressed. Very, very thoroughly impressed with the edge retention quality on this, and when I hit a point where I'm desperate for it to finally end and I'm still going because we have to finish the edge off, that's some pretty good edge retention, especially with how used to doing this I am now. But, you know, you guys know I love sharing with you what happened during Cardboard Slayer. That's what happened with the Kizer Vanguard Critical Mini in 3V steel. Can't think of anything else to add, so all that being said, thanks for looking at my crap. Subscribers, you guys are awesome. Y'all keep coming in. I appreciate you so much. If you haven't subscribed, please do. We got regular videos, live streams. There's plenty of activities. Comments, I love some feedback. Let me know what you think about this thing and how it performed. And of course, we are going to plug some products from friends of the channel. They're not affiliate links. I don't make any money on them. I'm just supporting some friends. And I do have my Amazon shop. You don't have to use it, but it's the easiest way I've found to show you cool stuff that I found recently. So here you go. And as always, we are going to link up to Cutting Lacey EDC's Diamond Emulsion if you want to step your stropping game up, make it easier to sharpen your blades, and keep them sharp. Wonderful product. I use it myself on every single knife I sharpen now. And we are going to link up to Mad Yocco's Wax. If you want to protect your blades that are prone to corrosion, if you want to darken up the color of your micarta, or take care of a million other things, he is going to be on Blade Binge with his wax. Alright, just supporting some friends of the channel and some small businesses. And all that being said, y'all have a nice day.